Of the study session of the Aurora City Council for Monday, May 19, 2025 is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman,
Here.
Councilmember Bergen,
Here.
Councilmember Coombs,
Present.
Councilmember Gardner, Councilmember Hancock, Councilmember Jurenski,
Here.
Councilmember Casal,
Here.
Councilmember Lawson, Councilmember Medina, Councilmember Mario,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sundberg.
Here.
Okay. There's no mayor's update. Are there any issue updates? Seeing none, is there any objection to move the consent calendar forward, item number 2A through 2H?
Mayor
I'm sorry,
Bergen.
Councilmember Bergen.
I know that the appointments or the reappointments on the consent calendar obviously have to still go to the regular meeting. And I know that at the end of our study session, we will be talking about boards and commissions. So I guess moving the consent calendar is fine during study session. It's just a matter of what's decided at the end on whether it moves to the regular session, because there is one on the regular meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's no approval process in study session, as you stated. So it can wait. If something is going on with what City Manager Batcher is going to present at the end, then we'll deal with it at the regular council meetings when it comes up. It can be tabled. The variety of things that you guys know you can do with those items.
Okay, very well. Further questions or comments on the consent calendar, item number 2A through 2H? Seeing none, the consent calendar, item number 2A through 2H will move forward. Item number 3A, Unified Development Ordinance, text amendment for multifamily parking in applicable transit service areas. I would urge a no vote on this discussion. Seeing none, we're not voting. I remember that. Then is there objection to moving this forward? Item number 3A.
I object, Mayor.
Okay, Mayor objects.
I object,
Mary.
Jurenski.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the last one?
Jurenski.
Okay,
Sundberg.
Hancock.
so right now I've got the mayor, Councilmember Jurenski, Councilmember Sundberg, Councilmember Hancock. Did I miss anybody? I'm sorry.
Bergen.
Oh, Bergen, Councilmember Bergen. Casal. Seeing a majority in opposition, item number 3A will not move forward. Item number 3B, Unified Development Ordinance text amendment for accessory dwelling units. I would urge opposition in moving it forward. Is
Hancock. I object.
Bergen.
Okay,
Jurenski.
Sundberg.
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs,
you didn't ask for any discussion.
a very well discussion.
Yeah, so on this particular matter, I saw an article that indicated that there were items in which the city had initiated litigation against the state. However, this particular item was not included in that litigation. So I'd like to understand kind of what the justification is for opposition, A, and then B, what it is that staff were bringing forward.
Pete,
So
I've
a presentation from staff.
Mayor, I can state why I'm opposing.
okay, Councilmember Bergen.
Yeah, I'm opposing it because of, again, this is an attack on our home rule authority by the state legislatures. We had already begun doing some accessory dwelling units, or I should say we had allowed it in original Aurora. And this is just goes to principle that, should we want to sue the state in the future, that is why I'm, casting a no vote or a no, whatever, not a
Yeah,
vote, a
objection,
no,
an objection.
no support, I should say. No support.
Objection to move it forward. Okay. Is there, Councilmember Drensky, Councilmember Sunberg, Councilmember Hancock, the mayor, Councilmember Bergen, Councilmember Kassar, or I believe are all in, opposition or objection to moving it forward. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
Okay, very well.
Mayor, just for purposes moving forward, I understand the opposition in study session. Normally, what would happen is that these would not move to the council meeting. Obviously, is there a appetite for council to take a active approach to these and deny these if that's the support of the majority of council at the council meeting? So it sends a clear message, or do you guys intend to kill it here, for lack of a better term? Because this is not an actual process.
Pete, I think my question is, isn't it, isn't a formal vote, somewhat, more forceful in terms of stating our position?
It is.
Very well.
Again, in another council meeting, that's in a council
Okay.
meeting, the only time you guys can take an affirmative or
Okay.
negative approach.
Well, anybody can still move it forward regardless of any of the objections, in study session. Am I correct in that?
You can.
Even if you're on the prevailing, even though we're not voting, even if you don't have an
Any
objection.
council member can state that they want these on the next.
Very well.
agenda.
So,
Okay,
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Bergen.
in light of, that, I guess, I guess I could, do I make a motion? I don't make a
No,
motion.
no, it's not. It's because I think, so I mean,
I mean,
any member.
we just voted not to move it.
You
We're
can
not
say,
voted,
I don't,
we just asked to not move it forward.
Right.
or you
Pete,
can say, I don't support it, but we'll move it forward for an official vote at the council meeting. We can do it that way too.
Okay,
I guess this is like any other, anybody, is my understanding of the rules, even though something doesn't have support, at study session can move it
Correct.
forward to the regular meeting, correct?
I just want to make sure that we have somebody that's going to give staff indication to do that. So we'll show up on the June 9th council agenda.
Just remind
Mayor?
us. Councilmember Combs.
Can I also ask that for this item and the previous item, that the backup include information about the affirmative votes from the Planning and Zoning Commission on these UDO changes and the discussion that was contained in establishing that affirmative position from our city's Planning and Zoning Commission?
I think you're free to bring anything up at any time. I don't know if
Mayor?
that's,
I'm asking for the record of an official public meeting on this subject and an official vote by a city body that was taken to be included in the backup.
Mayor,
I would object to that. Councilmember Bergen.
well, staff doesn't vote. So, I mean, if you want the minutes of the meeting, we can certainly, I would think, put those in, but staff doesn't vote. They don't make those decisions. That's why it comes to council.
Yeah, I think you would have to make a
Mayor.
motion to have that in there. You would have to make a motion on the floor to that effect. Am I
Mayor.
correct? And Pete, let's defer to Pete for a second.
Yeah, I mean, if Councilmember Coombs is making a request, there's nothing hurts putting that information in the backup if staff has it. I don't know. Lena, I don't know if Lena's on. Lena, do you have that information about what was provided? I think they were probably told that this was one of those areas that they were required by statute to pass. That's maybe reflected in the minutes. I don't know, Lena.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what the question is. We do have the minutes from the planning commission
You're already
meeting.
there.
Yeah, where these two items were presented and planning commission makes a vote to recommend moving UDO ordinances forward to council. And then it's council's prerogative to then make the decision to vote on whether those UDO amendments move forward or not. Planning commission is only a recommending body.
But they're advisory only.
Yeah, in this, for
should have
this
your minutes.
type of item, yes.
I just checked, Jack just
Mayor.
checked back up and he said that those minutes were in there. I'm sorry, Councilman Coombs.
Councilmember Combs.
Yeah, so that's all I'm asking is that the information from that meeting be included in the packet. That's all I'm asking. I understand that they're an advisory body, but that's all I'm asking is that that information be included in the packet.
Okay,
Mayor.
Councilmember Maria.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask, I thought that was pretty standard practice when we bring stuff like that. So it's not out of the ordinary for for that to be included. And Pete, are you certain that the Planning and Zoning Commission voted a certain way because they were told they had to? Because you did mention that, and I just want to be clear for saying that like I don't want to say something that is not like checked.
I don't know. And again, that's why
Okay.
I was asking Lena if during, because I wasn't at that P and Z meeting, but it was every time I've seen it presented, it was that we were bringing this forward because state legislation is requiring us to do so.
Right,
Lena,
but I guess moving forward, just my feedback, like if that's not a confirmed thing and to like offer that into the discussion without it being confirmed, that I would just ask that we make sure that we confirm that before we are naming or I guess guessing. Yes, thank you.
Anything else on item number 3B? Seeing none, item number 3B will not move forward, but I'm sure somebody can bring it up during the regular meeting of the council. I will if nobody else does. Item number 3C, opioid abatement funds update. Councilmember Sundberg, Mayor Pro Tem Sundberg.
Allow me to defer to staff.
Very well. Kelly Tucker.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of council. I'm Kelly Tucker. I'm the Crisis Intervention Program Administrator, and I'll be delivering this update on the opioid abatement funds. All right, while we are getting the slides up, I'm going to give a little background on what the opioid abatement funds are. In August of 2021, drug manufacturer and distributor settlements resulted in the formation of the Colorado Opioid Abatement Response Strategy Framework to distribute more than $871 million throughout the state for addiction treatment, recovery, and prevention programs. The opioid settlement funds will be paid over a period of years and will be distributed a few different ways. So the regional government share will see 60%, the local government share will see 20%, the state share will see 10%, the statewide infrastructure share will see 10%, and the Colorado Opioid Abatement Council will provide oversight of the regional and infrastructure funds to ensure that those funds are used for approved purposes. And on the next slide, we see that how the local governments have, sorry, we'll advance the slide so they can see. Okay, so the local governments will have configured 19 regional opioid abatement councils to determine how to distribute and manage the regional share with oversight from the statewide Colorado Opioid Abatement Council. Aurora is unique in that it intersects with 3 regional councils with the city of Aurora council representatives seated in each. In Region 8 at the top is Adams County, where we have Councilmember Coombs. In Region 9, Arapahoe County, we have Councilmember Bergen, whose hard work and collaboration we'd like to especially recognize here today. In Region 12, we have Douglas County with Councilmember Medina. From these regional councils, Aurora will receive 3.8% from Arapahoe County, 0.4% from Adams County, and 0.1% from Douglas County. The total amount that we anticipate to come into Aurora over the course of the entire settlement process of about 18 years is just over $3.4 million. The settlement funds will continue to come in over the next 16 years, being 2 years into that settlement process, from 5 different companies: Teva, Allergan, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens. And so in the next few slides, you'll see a bunch of data that I won't make too scary. So in considering where to investigate applying Aurora's opioid abatement funds, we reviewed and compiled data that informs the problems that we want to address, including overdose data, Narcan administration, and alignment with current initiatives through the regional opioid abatement councils, which you will see here as we move through the slides. So as displayed on this slide in the graphic on the left, there were 442 non-fatal opioid overdose emergency department visits at acute care hospitals in Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas counties in 2023. OSR is Opioid Response Strategy Framework and reflects regions 8, 9, and 12 of the regional opioid abatement councils that I displayed on the previous slide. And the demographics displayed on the right reflect the whole of Colorado, not just the 3 highlighted counties. What we see here is that those experiencing non-fatal opioid overdose emergency department visits to acute care hospitals in Colorado are most commonly in the 15 to 34 age range and occurred slightly more often in females than in males. Following our look at emergency department non-fatal opioid overdose visits, we then reviewed Narcan administration by both the police department and the fire department. So the total Narcan administration by the police department in years 2023 through just the end of April in 2025 was 700. In 2023, that was 276 administrations. 2024 was 304 administrations. And year to date, at the end of April 2025, was 120 administrations. And you see much of the same kind of display for fire Narcan administration. The total Narcan administration by the fire department from 2023 through end of April 2025 was 1,295. In 2023, it was 527. In 2024, it was 504. And in 2025, through the end of April, was 264. What we wanted to show between these two heat maps is that these administrations, these emergency Narcan administrations, are happening across the city. When we finished reviewing the non-fatal opioid overdose and Narcan administration, we looked at data depicting fatal opioid overdoses. As shown in the graphic on the left, there were 350 opioid overdose emergency department visits at acute care hospitals in Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas counties in 2023. The demographics displayed on the right reflect the whole of Colorado once again, not just the 3 highlighted counties. And what we're seeing there is that those experiencing fatal opioid overdose emergency department visits to acute care hospitals in Colorado most commonly occur in individuals aged 25 through 64 and occurred more often in males than with females. So a little bit of a flip from the non-fatal. And so what we're seeing from these statistics is that research showed that 73.3% of drug overdose deaths in Colorado in 2023 had at least one potential opportunity for intervention, most often by a bystander, which speaks to why the focus on opioid abatement fund strategies are so crucial. So when we're looking at strategies, we're operating under the Colorado Opioid Abatement Council that was created with the Department of Law in agreement with local governments to provide oversight in opioid funds and to ensure the distribution of those funds that complies with the terms of any settlement and the Colorado Opioid Settlement Memorandum of Understanding. Per the Opioid Settlement Memorandum of Understanding, approved potential abatement strategies fall under a few categories: treatment, prevention, and additional areas that include training, research, and first responders, among some others. So the regional opioid abatement councils 8, 9, and 12 that Aurora intersects with have focused on allocating funds towards withdrawal management, programs for criminal justice involved populations, youth and school-based programs, and housing stability supportive services. With consideration for City of Aurora's receipt of opioid funds, we have been following what the regional councils are funding to identify gaps that we might be able to fill. Yes, There.
Let me ask you a question. Can you go back to the previous slide?
Mhm.
Tell me what housing stability supportive services are.
Those would be not putting people in housing or long-term housing, but strategies that ultimately improve the stability needed to allow individuals to focus on their recovery and not using opioids specifically. So kind of some of those psychosocial supports that may be related to an individual's experience of housing stability.
Okay. I mean, I would just think isn't addiction recovery just the principal goal?
Absolutely.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you. So currently we have 1,760,590 and 59 cents in org 25227 and account 44450. So these things have been established with the funds that City of Aurora has received over the last 2 years. Previously, $245,540 have been approved to purchase 3 vans ordered by Homelessness for the Navigation Center. These vans will be used for transportation and will include stops at treatment facilities, which will further link clients to substance use care. And that leaves the remaining balance of $1,549,204.80. Given the nature of how we expect these settlement funds to be dispersed, we anticipate the amount that City of Aurora receives to fluctuate. And so that has been taken into account for the sustainability of the recommendations that you will see on the next slide.
Okay, quick question on this. So
Yes.
that doesn't mean, so if you go back to the previous slide, so that, obviously on the campus, we want as many of our partners there as possible, but the operator's going to make that decision of who they are. But so it could be more than it could be more than 245 or $540 being utilized by the Regional Navigation Resource Center, right?
And I believe that the 245,000 speaks to the cost of the purchase of the
Right.
3 vans.
Okay, so there could be additional monies going there in addition to the vans, correct? For operational purposes.
Yes, Mayor Kaufman, this is Emma speaking. The next slide, we're actually going to talk about a couple of those other recommendations, and some of those are for the navigation campus. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yes, thank you. And so based on the history of this fund and the evidence available to us pertaining to the opioid use and crisis in Aurora, some state-approved abatement strategies and alignments with the regional opioid abatement councils that we saw on the previous slide, we've identified a few strategies that we're asking for support to further investigate and develop more kind of a strategy or an idea to establish appropriateness, feasibility, and sustainability to apply towards the current City of Aurora opioid abatement fund balance. So those couple of strategies that we've identified are consulting services at the navigation campus to establish Medicaid billing through Advance. The navigation campus will be expected to be billing Medicaid to offset costs, and they have shown progress in hiring staff who would be able to sign off on said Medicaid billing. However, establishing Medicaid billing is a complicated and lengthy process that would be best facilitated through a consultant.
Do we know in terms of what's going on in the federal government, or where Medicaid programs, many of them are in flux right now?
Right.
What the status of this particular Medicaid program is, that we would be this 125,000.
Yeah, Mayor Kaufman. I know for the time being, the state has a has gone through the federal government and gotten approval for the rest of this year at least to be using this funding, Medicaid funding, for supportive services and the exact things we're talking about. We'll see what happens with that moving forward, but for now they have received a waiver for us to be able to do things like this.
Okay,
Mayor.
great. I'm sorry,
Mayor.
who is this?
Jurenski,
Councilmember Drinsky.
thank you. What are Narcan vending distribution libraries?
Yes, so I can speak to that a little more broadly. So we seek to address the opioid overdose prevention through expansion of availability and distribution of naloxone and other materials through public access vending machines. So local examples of this include a vending location within the Addiction Research and Treatment Services Program at the Potomac Street Center, as well as a recently established vending location on the Denver Health Hospital campus. Yep.
So
Well,
we're going to spend money, Mayor, can I continue?
Yeah, please continue. Please.
So we're going to spend money to put a vending machine in the Denver Health Hospital?
No, sorry. Those are examples of where vending machines currently exist, not unlike a model that we are requesting to kind of look into further for Aurora.
So I guess my question was, where in Aurora, where would these be? Where would these be?
We haven't looked at specific locations yet, as we're just seeking support to investigate and kind of flesh out this idea further. But those locations would be approved by council well before anything would be established.
So I guess,
Councilmember Jurenski, we would probably be looking at those heat maps, right, where we have the most overdoses in the city. And if the community has access to that, they may be able to prevent those and also prevent a call for service out from the paramedics, fire or police as well. So we would probably be looking at locations, and it's literally just a dispenser. They might be at healthcare facilities. It might be at the navigation campus. It might be in schools or places where people are having those higher incidences of overdose in the community.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not promoting any sort of, safe injection sites. And for me, that kind of teeters on that. Seeing the heat maps and for what our police and fire are having to use on Narcan. Now, them using Narcan treatment on somebody, is that currently coming out of police and fire's budget to purchase the Narcan?
So we have a state agreement and we receive Narcan for free through that. So not only do police and fire have it, many other staff in the city, I know the staff in my department also carry it in vehicles, and on them, obviously our homeless outreach staff have it. And we have it stocked in different facilities as well. We have it, in very public places as well.
Okay,
but we receive that through an allotment essentially from the state, and when we need more, we order it. So we're not currently spending city dollars on that. We could, obviously, it would be an eligible cost to spend the opioid money on Narcan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we really need I really need to see this fleshed out. Because I do have some questions about it. I know that in talking to Advance, the nonprofit, I think at the Aurora Regional Resource Navigation Resource Center, there is that staff will have it there, but it's not going to be. I don't think they had plans to have it, in some kind of vending dispensary. But I think, yeah, I think we'll need to see what that looks like before we make a final decision. I think I have the same reservations that Councilmember Jurenski has.
Mayor?
And who is it? I'm sorry. Councilmember Bergen.
Yeah, thank you. Jessica, are these recommendations in consultation with Advance?
Yes, they came directly from them and from conversations with Advance. So we felt like that was one of the highest priorities for this year for the opioid funds. And so we have had several conversations with them about where they see gaps, and they have had some overdoses in the overnight facility in the day center now. And so we collaborated with them to come up with some of these ideas. Each of them would need to be fleshed out more. We would come back with agreements for any of them. And so these are just recommended things at this point to move forward with, to explore further. And then obviously they would come back in the form of a formal approval by council. This presentation, really, Councilmember Sundberg asked about the data around where we're having overdoses, some of the demographics and stuff like that. So we wanted to satisfy that request and then also just bring forward kind of where we are with the funding and what it can be used for, and some recommendations that we have to further explore at this point. So we don't need decisions at this point. These would each come back individually.
Okay.
And may I just give a very, very quick
That's right,
update on the Arapahoe County
Sure.
Region 9? Just wanted to say that we have spent 1.169 million thus far. 3,096 people have been served, and we allocated 270,000 for medication assisted treatment at the Arapahoe County Jail. We gave 64,000 to Cherry Creek School District for youth program prevention. And then recovery through various organizations, we allocated 415,000, and then on harm reduction, $250,000. So we're continuing to, obviously, we still have a lot of funds remaining, and we're trying to obviously work really hard on identifying a walk-in crisis center for detox, because that is sadly very much needed, and there are not a whole lot of resources there. So we are working diligently to try to find an operator for that walk-in crisis center.
Good. Okay. And let me just say, I'm all for staff and paramedics and firefighters and police having access to Narcan. Just I'm not sure about this vending concept. Further questions or comments? Okay. Well, okay. Is there any more to the presentation?
Sundberg.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember
Mayor Pro Tem.
Coombs is first.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, Councilmember Coombs, I think, had her hand up first.
Councilmember Coombs.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to clarify on the front of Narcan, that this is about preventing and treating, or well, about treating overdoses and potential overdoses. So when we have what we're calling a low barrier shelter, that is, people are not required to not be using in order to have access to shelter, at least in portions of the shelter. At least that's what folks have been saying the whole time we've been having the conversation about portions of that shelter. The people didn't have to be saying they're drug free to get shelter there. What we're really saying at that point, if we're saying people don't need to have access to Narcan there, is that our low barrier shelter is a place where we'd rather people die than be treated if they're using.
I don't think anybody said that.
We need to be really careful, not saying that we think people shouldn't have ready access to Narcan if what we're proposing is.
Councilmember Coombs, I don't think anybody said that. I think the question is who has it, and I believe that staff there should have it to give out as necessary. Councilmember Sundberg.
Thank you. Comment and a question. Comment to Councilwoman Bergen is that the Aurora Mental Health and Recovery Acute Care Campus opening in January, called the Potomac Pavilion, will indeed be a walk-in detox and walk-in psychiatric care. That could be quite useful and helpful for us.
It will be useful. They will be limited in number of detox beds and the length of stay that they can stay. So the need is actually, because we have resources in North Aurora, but the need for Region 9 Arapahoe County, quite large, is really lacking more on the west side. So Littleton, Inglewood, Sheridan, those communities are really lacking. So we are looking for a facility more along I-25 and like Arapahoe Road, kind of
Okay.
area.
Okay. And also a question regarding the overdoses and fatalities there. Is this primarily fentanyl?
Yes,
This-
I can, oh, sorry. I was going to say from the technical experts on our group, they have told us if it's not solely fentanyl, it's fentanyl mixed in with other drugs. Sorry.
Very well. Mayor Pro Tem, anything else?
I think that is it. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Very well. Thanks for the, is there anything else, presenters? Thank you very much. I
Nope.
appreciate it. Item number 3D, Pfizer May 6th committee report. Liz Rogers, let me refer to the committee chair. Councilmember Lawson. Councilmember Lawson here.
She's not here.
She said ICAC.
Okay, very well.
Mayor,
Yeah, George, go ahead.
Mayor, members of council, this is George Kumantakis. I'll provide the FSIR report today for Liz. The FSIR committee met on May 6th and took an opposed position on Amendment L029 for Senate Bill 25-161.
And what
You
is
want
that,
more
Bill?
detail? Okay, yes. L29 was added in the last minute for the transit reform bill for RTD. Staff initially looked at the legislation and decided not to engage, but with the amendment would negatively impact the city's ability to provide microtransit services specifically for employment and seniors. Staff identified the issues and connected with RTD, CML, and other municipalities to see what they were discussing and what advocacy efforts were underway and how the city could join in. Staff contacted members of the FSIR committee for an emergency position on the amendment to oppose it and join efforts with other municipalities to get it removed or rewritten with a formal position taken on May 6th. That amendment was removed and the bill did pass as it had been stated or as it had been presented without the amendment.
Very well. I'm sorry.
And then
go ahead.
1147, as
Okay.
you all probably know, was vetoed by the governor.
Right. And House Bill 1112, where is that, right? So that's at the governor's desk?
I believe so. I don't have any more
Okay,
information.
that bill gives us the, I know, Councilmember Hancock worked on that bill with State Representative Tatone, and that would give us, give authority to municipal courts to prosecute cases involving vehicle registrations.
Yes,
Very well. Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Any questions of George? Seeing none, item number 3E, boards and commissions recommendations. Jason?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a follow-up to our last meeting. Unless there's any questions in general, what I was going to do for council is just go kind of board by board that's in the packet, get consensus from council as to how you all would like to see this move forward. And then we will draft an ordinance in accordance with that consensus. So if there's not any general discussion, I'll just go board by board.
Jason, as you go through it, if you could just give what staff recommendation is on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So the first one, there were two boards that staff did recommend to eliminate. The first is the Independent Review Board. So we'll just go there. The staff recommendation was to eliminate. Any questions? And what is the direction of council?
Questions or comments? So what I'm going to do is it's artillery silences consent. Do you remember that, Jason?
I do, sir.
Very well. That's how we're going to do this. Silences consent. What could you restate that?
It's just the Independent Review Board. It's a board that had been formed a while back. It is functionally defunct right now. It was a little duplicative of the work that our Civil Service Commission does as our civilian oversight for police and fire discipline. And it was not binding. They only made recommendations, and we found that it delayed the discipline process.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, next one.
So next one is oil and gas. The staff recommendation was to eliminate during the meeting a couple weeks ago. Council had some discussion around potentially changing the meeting frequency to quarterly for that. So I guess the question for council is, does council wish to eliminate it, or does council wish to move to maybe a quarterly meeting of the Oil and Gas Commission?
Councilmember Bergen.
Yeah, I would recommend quarterly. I think they still do add value and they give opinions, recommendations to us, and actually do study, anything that comes forward that needs to be monitored, plugged wells, that type of thing. So I would say keep it and just maybe have them meet quarterly. Might be a good compromise.
Jason, can you obviously we're still going to vote on these, so formally on the floor. So can you put that in as a quarterly?
Yeah, we'll make any changes in the ordinance to that, and if that's the consensus of council, we're happy to do that. Again, all these boards and commissions serve at the pleasure of council. They're all advisory, and again, the intent of this is really to make sure that you all are getting the structure and feedback you all need as the elected leaders of the city.
Questions and comments on the quarterly? Okay, next.
Okay. The next is there was a couple recommendations to consolidate. The first is to consolidate the Art and Public Places, the Aurora Fox, and the Cultural Affairs Commissions. Staff gave two different options. One of them was to essentially dissolve the Aurora Fox and Cultural Affairs and go with just the Art and Public Places. The second option was to sort of consolidate the three of them, have them cover that full scope. That was the discussion at the last meeting, so I think that was the direction from council, but just want to confirm that as council wished to consolidate those three into one cultural services board, kind of encompassing all three of those functions.
Questions
Mayor.
or comments? Councilmember Jaworski.
Yeah, I'd like to see all three consolidated versus one eliminated. I think the Fox Theater is a huge financial drain to the city of Aurora, and I think that still needs to be included as part of the discussion with this board. We have got to figure out how to stop having the Fox Theater be a huge financial drain to the people of Aurora.
Okay. Any objections to consolidating all three? Great, then
Mayor?
that's, I'm sorry. Who is this?
Councilmember Hancock.
Councilmember Hancock.
I understand Councilmember Jaworski's point about the Fox being a financial hardship for the city, but I do believe, as we build our community as an arts and culture destination, I am hopeful that the restructuring under Ginger and the board that they have now will help turn this organization around and take it from bust to boom. So I am here for us consolidating these this one under one roof so that they can effectively work.
Very well. Okay. Any objection to consolidation, all three? Seeing none, that's the direction. Jason,
the next one is on golf as advisory, open space advisory, and Parks and Rec. The recommendation is to consolidate those similarly into one commission with some standing subcommittees on those areas. And so that is the staff recommendation.
Any objection? Seeing none, that's the direction.
Okay. The next one, these were more for additional consideration. These are boards that staff found are a little outside of the direct service provision of the city and wanted to see what council's direction was. The first was the Human Relations Commission. So staff is just kind of highlighting this one for any direction from council. So we'll start with the Human Relations Commission.
Okay. Discussion.
Mayor.
Councilmember Jaworski.
Yeah, I would like to see this one eliminated.
Very well. Any objection to having it eliminated? Seeing none, then that's the direction.
Mayor. All right.
Councilmember Coombs? Okay, Councilmember Coombs objects. Very well.
Woody objects as well.
Mayor
Okay.
Sunberg.
Yeah, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem.
I just want to point out in the last like 2.5 years, I've seen a couple members of that board on social media posting demeaning and disparaging things about people. And it seems contrary to the whole mission of a human relations commission.
Further discussion?
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So I guess my question just for staff, I understand the idea that this may be outside the purview of the city, but in terms of complaints related to ADA issues, complaints related to discrimination issues, how are we going to be handling those types of concerns that may be brought forward through that board as it currently is?
Can I get just to elaborate on Councilmember Coombs's question, can you give us, their scope right now or any kind of like mission statement of what the Human Relations Commission does right now? I was on it a very long time ago. And when I was on it, we actually, in terms of grants, we actually made decisions on our community partners and what they received in grants. There was so much money allocated. That's not the case today. So someone from staff give us a definition of what they do.
Yeah, so you are correct. There used to be a program called Aid to Agencies, and then that went through the Human Relations Commission where they were making recommendations. We've moved away from that. So that is primarily right now a funding program through the surcharge program, which is it went from aid to agencies to sort of agencies that have a direct nexus to law enforcement. That was, I think, a response to concerns about making sure that the surcharge dollars collected in the municipal court really are spent with nonprofits that have a direct nexus to providing benefit to our law enforcement agencies. So that's now done through sort of by ordinance. Those agencies are listed by council, and so that's their current function is more broad-based. They don't have that specific function where they're making those recommendations. As Councilmember Coombs said, the mission does include discussion looking at potential cases of discrimination or other things like accessibility. So that is what is in their mission statement. I'm looking to see if I have anybody from staff that could provide more details of their exact nature of their work, but that's the broad basis at this point.
Mayor,
Councilmember Bergen.
aren't those things handled by either by the HR department, I would imagine, right?
No,
If there's a complaint?
If it's a city facility,
yeah.
If it's a city facility, we do have an ADA coordinator that would take those complaints. And so if it's a city facility, if it's a non-city facility, we would probably take them on board and then try and figure out the appropriate and responsible party.
Okay, but those could be handled through, we don't need a whole commission to handle the once in a blue moon complaints that we get. I just don't think this commission is, we're trying to consolidate, we're trying to save staff time. And I just think we don't need this particular commission. We can handle whatever needs some other way. And we really need to stick to our core, I guess, our core mission.
Well, I think I want to find out more about it. But I think the majority, I would assume, probably want it on the chopping block. But I think that vote, what I will do is pull it out of the. But how will will this go forward as an ordinance or a resolution? How will
it will be an ordinance, and if I guess that's one of the things I can end up with is I can either do them as a package of one ordinance, or if you want to, we can certainly break them out and provide an ordinance for each board or commission so that you all can vote on them individually. It's whatever your preference is.
Here's my preference, and if there's any objection, I'd like to hear it from council. And my preference would be that if there's any objection like that was raised right now by Councilmember Coombs, that it is voted on separately. Okay. And that if there is a consensus, then it just goes in one package for one vote. Is there any objection to that on council? Okay, Jason, how about, is that?
No, yeah, sir, we'll make it happen. That's good direction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very well.
Mayor.
Next one. Yeah, Councilmember Combs.
Mayor, sorry, just on that note, as we're looking at the vote and the conversation, if there can just be some information about should this board be dissolved, how are folks going to be connected to the ADA coordinator? And how are we going to promote that that's where people go to provide complaints of that nature regarding city facilities? Because I think a lot of folks are not necessarily aware of that process and that information.
Further discussion? Seeing none, so we'll break that one out separately. Next one.
Next one is the Veterans Affairs Commission. Similar discussion. This is one where, again, Veterans Affairs are typically handled at the county level. Each of the counties is responsible for providing veteran services officers. So each of the counties has that. They have an office. And so that's where that direct provision of service to veterans are. Obviously, we are a veteran community. I think that's the purpose behind this, but it does sort of, just lend to the question of what is it, that we're asking them to do and comment on. It's a little far reaching because we're not doing that direct provision of services.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Mayor,
I'm sorry, who?
Jurenski.
Councilmember Jurenski.
yeah. For me, I really struggle on this one, and I am a veteran. But I've never once had to go to the Veterans Affairs Commission in Aurora for anything. I always go to Arapahoe County because that's where they have a VSO. And so, I'm not sure what I'm not sure what this commission does to help veterans in Aurora. I think I would like more information. I know that in the past I have wanted to hold veterans only town halls. I've wanted to get involved in that. There's been some different things I've wanted to do. I have some contacts at the VA hospital that would certainly like to come and present. But I've never wanted to blend that into just regular ward town halls. So I think if this is something where we can really incorporate some sort of real help events that they're doing or something that we can get involved in. Otherwise, I mean, the real help for veterans as far as navigating the VA system, navigating benefits, navigating veteran homelessness, it comes from the county. And the county has a wonderful veterans office with an actual VSO in it. So I'm a little torn on this one. I'm not saying that I'm ready to jump and put it on the chopping block, but if I could get some information from this commission as to what we can better start doing to actually help veterans in Aurora. And I'm not here to say that this commission isn't doing that or isn't doing anything. I'm certainly not saying that, but I don't know what they are doing. And I myself am a veteran. And so I just would like some more information about this one before we make a decision.
Let's break it out separately. Any objection to breaking out separately? Very well. Okay, Jason, what's the next one?
Okay, and we'll get some more information. The final one is, it was not in the initial memo that I sent to council, but it came up in discussion 2 weeks ago. That is the Youth Commission. Councilmember Bergen just, I don't want to put words in your mouth, ma'am. I'll try and summarize it, but if I get it wrong, I know you will correct me. Which was that you thought perhaps it might be better to dissolve the Youth Commission and then add youth slots on some of our other boards or commissions and have them more directly involved in giving us recommendations on parks, on cultural issues, on libraries. And again, you all would just need to tell us what those are, but that was the discussion last week. I wanted to recognize that discussion and see if you guys have any formal guidance for us on that one.
And that is exactly what I said. So very good. No, I just think they could be more effective and more focused if they were appointed to the various different boards and commissions rather than just one big commission. And attendance has, been difficult.
Councilmember Bergen, how about if we do this? How about if we break it out separately? And then you can always amend it to, dissolve it but reorganize it into having a youth representative or whatever you want to
Why
call
can't we
it.
just do that right now?
Very well. What do you want to do?
I mean, unless everybody opposes it, but I mean, why 2 steps?
Okay. So, do you have, what is your proposal then?
So my proposal would be, this would be on the next meeting, Jason?
Exactly what I said, so very good.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I just think it would.
So, I don't know if somebody's talking.
And more focused.
No, we're getting you feedback.
Somebody's talking. Yeah, would you be able to, I guess we need enough time to decide which boards a youth it would make sense for a youth to be on.
Yeah, and
So
again,
could
I can work with whoever you'd like to, if just to develop that ordinance, as the mayor says, just to sort of, amend the other boards to note that we're appointing youth commissioners to the library board, to the
And then-
parks board, to the cultural
Yeah.
board, whatever it is you all decide.
And maybe council members individually could just say, I think it'd be really important to have a youth on A, B, C. Before it comes to the formal meeting.
Question, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Medina.
Yes, I'm gonna oppose this because again, we're trying to take kids, we're in school, we're gonna put them on committees that we're forcing them to be on that they don't probably want to be on. And we're again making choices that we want to make instead of them. And I'm just not about taking the voice of some other group of people and making it ours where we think they should fit. And the other thing is they're in school. A lot of these meetings are
These are
during the
evenings.
daytime. So
Mhm.
I don't think you're gonna get much interest in youth being involved in some of these committees.
Mayor,
Councilmember Hancock, then Councilmember Bergen.
I was gonna say. that in
Well,
the
I would
evenings.
say that, and I think help me if I'm not understanding this correctly, Councilmember Bergen, that these young people would be on these select committees so that they could actually fill the bench, learn what it is actually like to be on the Oil and Gas Commission, for example, if that's their interest, or parks, or
Mhm.
theater, or whatever these commissions are. One member actually working with adults so that they learn how these commissions work and their active role in them. And again, to me, it seems like we could backfill our bench so that as these young people grow up, this may be something that may be a lifelong interest to them. We're not forcing anyone to do anything, but we're asking them, is this an area in which you would like to participate? And the way we're looking at it now, these meetings are quarterly, some of them, and some of them are monthly, but mostly it'll give ample opportunity for young
Okay.
people to participate. Is that right?
That is exactly right. I think it would just be a better learning experience for them, and they can also contribute a little bit more focused. And also, we're not forcing anyone to be on any board. It's a voluntary, all of our boards and commissions are voluntary. So I would suggest that it's not a mandatory youth on each, whatever board, but an option to appoint a youth person to the board. And that way, whatever youth wants to apply for a board gets to be put on the board.
Okay, so there was objection by Councilmember Medina, so I'm gonna break it separately. And then I'm gonna leave it to you, Councilmember Bergen, to come up with a substitute, basically amendment to whatever you think is appropriate, on the floor.
And Mayor, may I ask one question real quick? Councilmember Bergen,
Sure.
do you want the youth that are gonna be on these boards, would they be advisory to the board or be voting members as well, just for ordinance drafting?
Everything is advisory.
I'm talking about you want them to the voting member of the
Oh, I
board?
see. I think it would be advisory.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to verify. That's okay. Just for.
So they're effectively a non-voting member on recommendations to council. Okay. That's right, but
Yeah.
you've got time to work with staff on.
No,
the
that
language that you
we're
want.
not required to add another member to keep an odd number, so we would have,
Oh,
yeah,
But
that's what I'm.
but if it's a non-voting member, it doesn't matter, non-voting.
That's what I say, non-voting doesn't matter. So,
One
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
I don't need to make an amendment on the floor. I'm gonna work with staff to present it on the floor. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
And I think that works, Mayor, because we've broken it out separately.
okay. Okay.
That's all the boards or commissions, unless anybody has a specific board or commission they'd like to discuss that we haven't. And then I have one sort of cleanup item at the end, but I'll see if there's any of the boards or commissions before I move on to that one.
A further discussion on boards and commissions? Seeing none, Jesse, go
Mayor,
ahead. Oh,
Mayor.
sorry. Councilmember Mario.
You should leave a breath before you say no feedback and then wait for somebody to say something. I was just gonna say I object of the dissolving the youth commission. Like, having been on a statewide youth commission, I think there's a lot of value in having just a youth only space. And I get the capacity piece. If we're gonna add members to the other commissions, I would want like a specific dedicated. I would prefer that they're voting members, as well as like guaranteeing a youth member, because what I don't want to see is that they get competed, they don't compete for or are qualified for a position to be on that. So just wanted to avoid that.
So
Councilmember Bergen.
Councilmember Rio, if we changed it to vote, I'm concerned on like oil and gas, that I don't like that one. I don't think they should be voting on. So would it make more sense to have them be voting members on pretty much everything except, I mean, they can't be on planning and zoning, civil service, or what else, right?
I mean, yeah, like the ones that, yeah, I mean, if you want to adjust that, I would be open, like I would support that too.
Okay,
I'll
I'll work on adjusting what voting versus non-voting, what makes sense.
Okay, let me just go back to city attorney and what he just said, and that is if you make them a voting member, then you probably need to add another person on to make it an odd number.
That's fine.
Right. Most of the commissions and boards have an odd number, so we'd have to figure out if it'd be 2 youth members if they're voting, or which adds another youth, or we have to pick another person to add. That's why I broached the question, is because, we don't want to have an even number of voting members, because then we can end up in a tie.
I think Councilmember Bergen can work through that in the follow-up process. I'm confident she can navigate that.
Okay, I mean, I'll certainly be debating as a non-voting member, adding them as a non-voting member, but we'll have that vote on the floor. There's further discussion?
I have
Mayor?
one more. Oh, sorry.
Councilmember Coombs.
Oh, just on that same point, there are some commissions that have multiple general community member, or multiple boards and commissions that have more than one general community member position, and you could just change one of those to a youth in some of those cases to help avoid the even uneven. And again, I'll leave it to you, Councilmember Bergen, to kind of sort out how you want that to look, but that's just a suggestion.
And if anybody could please email me a suggestion so I can get everybody's input on it, that'd be great. I did have one question on the consolidation of the art and public places, Fox and cultural fairs. So are we keeping the same number on each one of those? Or we?
No, we will be bringing forward a consolidated number. I think those are pretty large boards in some cases. And I think, if we took the, so for instance, and I can pull it up here, but for instance, the
Well, I was going to say, because you mentioned, we consolidate it and then they have subcommittees. So could they add to the subcommittees?
I think we'll see on
Like if
that
you
one. I
have-
think it's one where, you might have, the art and public places might be a 9-member commission. The Aurora Fox one might be a 9-member commission. The cultural affairs might be an 11-member commission. I don't think I'd recommend that we have a 29-member commission, but, maybe it's larger than the 9, but, we'll come back with that. And then I think, kind of see, what the right size of that is, and then what that transition process looks like. I don't think we want to try and staff all 3. So there will be some recommendations included in the backup for how we get to appointing members to the new committee.
Okay, thanks.
Seeing, no further, Jason, did you have anything?
One
else?
final thing, just for cleanup, is Katie has been very patient, and her team, the clerk's office that handle all these, they do have some other cleanup that broadly apply to the ordinances around boards or commissions. So we'll bring that forward as well. At the same time, I'll break that out from these just so that you all have them when we can answer any questions you all have on that. But it is just cleanup to make sure that we're treating all of the boards or commissions kind of standardized. So, they've been patient in terms of that. There's some just work that I think is going to make your life easier and their life easier in terms of making sure all the boards or commissions are treated uniformly and across the board. So Katie, anything to add to that one?
I do not. Thank you, Jason.
Okay. That's it, Mr. Mayor. I think we've got guidance. With that, we'll prepare a series of ordinances. We'll bring them forward. Realistically, probably the end of June. We'll give Pete's folks some time to kind of get them pulled together. So you guys will see this on the June 23rd council meeting.
Good, saying no for the business, before the Aurora City Council study session of, Monday, May 19, 2025 meeting is adjourned. And we will, those members who wish to reconvene, for the, was a public listening session. What time is that? 6:30?
6 p.m.
Or 6
6
p.m.
o'clock.
We'll, reconvene at 6:30. 6
And-
p.m. Sorry,
Mayor,
Councilmember Bergen.
for the listening session, we go to WebEx,
Katie?
correct?
That's correct. You will just join the regular council meeting WebEx link for the public listening session.
Okay. Okay, see those who are going to participate in that at 6 o'clock. Otherwise, I'll see you at 6:45 at the regular meeting. Thanks, everybody. Great.